My name is Ned Karlovich. I am one of the, a design lead or something at Status. What's needed is probably more and better design. It's probably to consider when developers or engineers building something that you always would need an end user or designer with them, right, to balance these equations, because otherwise you start making things for one group, but ultimately for usability, accessibility, you need to really see how people are using things, right, and simplifying things, and then probably also having different narratives for people to find different things that are important to them, and then you can start to, they will want to learn probably based on these values that are important to them. I think the approach would be also to know what you want to build, what the ultimate goal of that thing is, that you can define with a mission, and then begin to evaluate these user experiences and then find ways to tailor that to these groups. So you find a group that is really could use this, and then find the best way to optimize it so they can complete that goal. Because a lot of the times you get routed into different things that they start to overweigh your cognitive load, right? You cannot understand, or you get sidetracked, whereas people just generally want to get where they're going. So I think a lot of these experiences you can either suffer through or they're fast. So it's really about, determining the amount of information, what's important, what's necessary, removing what isn't, and then testing it for real in different environments, and seeing what lives, right? What can survive from these tests, rather than just thinking for somebody else. Because a lot of the beauty of this space is that, like all spaces, that there's nobody at yet. Everyone starts to fight over it, but I think to keep it open for people, you keep honoring the same ideas about, we want to empower others. We don't want to constrain it, because we already seen what that looks like. We're in it now. So to be able to keep this mentality going about, our beliefs and how we want to empower other people, rather than just imposing something we think on other people. I think it matters because this is an opportunity for a lot of us that care about something to change the future in a better way, right? I think with the whole feeling that the world has is going down in some ways, but for us it feels good, because you feel like the more that happens, the more it's proving your answers can be right. And I don't think we have all the answers, but I feel that there's a lot of people that are working very hard on things, that are very smart, and that share a common belief about creating a better situation that it teaches people that they can also be empowered as much as they want to, determining what's important to you. If you find transaction fees important to you, is it privacy that you find important? Is it social? Like, there's all ways that we can slowly start to learn for ourselves that we can impact what we want to impact, and there's nothing wrong with that. And understand really what happens when I do this, or because otherwise, at the moment, nobody tells you a lot of these things. Nobody knows where your information goes, or people think, why should I care? But it's a basic right to be able to get to think about these things. For the future, everything, it's hard because I think a lot of us are thinking in the future about everything, and there's a realistic way to slowly build these tools that say, okay, just make you aware of certain actions. You slowly begin to introduce a concept into the world that really isn't there yet. So even with messaging or something, you had all these different layers of people learning to message or email, right? Like through WhatsApp or Telegram. And people keep slowly revising a language that's in the world and becoming familiar to get away from older things. So for us, you're starting something new, and then we're slowly tweaking these things to the point where, yeah, I think you will get into, it will become probably more complicated in terms of information and data architecture and real architecture, where it starts to come into your world more. And there will be a natural part of that where people want to either become in it or come out of it. So We are, I think, also thinking about hardware also, right? Networks, like what happens if I'm not accepted into this network? What happens if I'm not accepted into this bank? What are the impacts of me to be able to keep building things that keep this idea going around this freedom of expression, or building things that are important to us? So it's probably looking at all different ways to be able to maintain this vision or these ideas that we have together.